of the most exciting events here at the Hanover Fair. We will talk about how you can make the infrastructure for the digital economy work. And we do that by talking to the most renowned experts on Catena-X, Catena-X, which is actually the blueprint for everything we do around data spaces here in this country and in Europe. So we couldn't be more privileged than having Oliver, Kevin, and Diego, and you can see all the accolades on the slides, with us to talk about that. And as you very well know, data spaces above and beyond of providing sort of the blueprint, the basis for data sharing and value creation. It's addressing this whole canon of regulation that is coming our way, but it's also enabling everything that we can do around digital trade and the digital economy. The digital economy is worth over $3 trillion, and how to actually benefit from that will be actually enabled through be better in data spaces. And Oliver, what is data spaces? What are they exactly, and how do we use them?
Well, it's pretty much a very synthetic word. Nobody understands what's a data space, what is it good for. I turned into something for the customer. If you want your data to be in good hands and you only want to share it with somebody you trust, and if you want to share your data that it can be connected to the other people's data, you need something that works for me. Like a data space is a place where you trust each other, where you can share your data for specific use cases like sustainability, like quality, like supply performance, where you know that adding those data points up along the value chain, I have a benefit from it and my peer as well.
Is it easy to build that trust?
No.
No?
Absolutely not. Because I would lie to you if I say, hey, if it would be easy, it would be there already, right? So what was really the big point here, we in Europe had 1 trillion of ideas how to get it done, right? Everybody had a piece of a puzzle. The big point was not to build trust. The question is, how do you take this puzzle piece and add it to the other puzzle pieces that you need for the standards, for the compliance, for the scalability, for the global acceptance. And this is headache. But it is doable, and it's not just doable in Germany, it has been done for Europe and the global economy.
I have one question for you on the use cases, other than in a data marketplace, in data spaces, use cases are actually at the heart of it. How have you chosen them?
Catena-X, I do not know. Who of you know Catena-X? Hands up. Oh, we are fans. So for Catena-X, how we chose it, we followed the industry need. So it is pretty much not a technology-driven approach, it's a customer-driven approach. And our automotive industry for the next 2 years struggles with 3 or 4 big issues. Sustainability, including product carbon footprint, circularity, and supply chain due diligence. That's one big part. And none of us can do that alone. No matter if you're a big OEM or big first tier or big outfitter, you are not just big enough to dominate a market because it's not your market alone. So we decided those when they had the quality issues in the field we have to tackle together. And the third one was pretty much with COVID, supply performance. We had the Ever Given, we had the semiconductor crisis. So pretty much it is what the industry was lagging, is that we have to join forces to get it done now because it's a mutual interest.
So you were choosing it by what was most needed from a...
Most valuable.
Most valuable from an industry perspective. If I hear that, that would mean that everybody should be on the data spaces already. But this is not the case, Kevin, right? So you've just done that absolutely stellar survey with 1,500 small, medium enterprises. So what have you learned there?
Yes, so what have we learned is that compared... now it's working. So what we have learned in that study is the following. I think here, as you said, Oliver, there are a lot of fans, a lot of people who already know data spaces and Catena-X. but overall in the automotive supply chain, more than 275,000 partners are part of this entire journey, right? And there are the smallest companies, like maybe, for example, a farmer in South America who is producing leather, or an East European company who is a recycler. So what we did is we looked into that and wanted to understand what are their business priorities, what are their challenges, and also do they know data spaces, and is there a benefit for them to join that? And what we have seen there is that Oliver and the team already did a good job, right? So more than 18% of these 1,500 surveyed companies already know data spaces, and a part of them also Catena-X, but more than 1/3 even don't know, right? And I think what we need is, for all these use cases we were mentioning, right, around digital product paths, about traceability, about circular economy, and what have we need all of these companies, right? At least most of them. And that's what we also want to bring in, right, with the global reach, to embed and help all of these companies to become part of such a data space. Because on the one side, it's something which needs technology support, right? And on the other side, all of us are human beings, right? You join if you see a benefit, right? And that's the second part of what we have to deliver as a team, as a global team, that we say, look, this is your benefit, and also this is how you can do it very easily without even knowing IT. Because that's also part of the study. You see that more than 10% of these 1,005 companies in Europe, 750 of them in Germany, are still only paper-based. Only paper-based, right? So becoming part of a digital ecosystem, of a digital data space with paper, it's difficult, right? And that's where we want to support and where we want to help to generate the voice and also enable these companies to become part of that system.
I have two questions for you. The first one is, you were talking about the opportunities that companies see and also the risks. Could you please tell us a little bit where they saw the largest expected benefit and what held them back?
Yeah, so the benefit they have seen in terms of the use cases, because they all know, a lot of companies know what's coming up, right? They also see with the last years that they are losing a little bit in terms of being very competitive, so that's where they see a benefit. Where they see the biggest risk or obstacle is, on the one side, they were mentioning security and data security reasons. I think it was more than 67%, 68% who said, I have to understand, first of all, how is my data going, where is my data going, to whom do I connect, and things like that. And a good portion of them also said that especially this technical onboarding is a big obstacle, because they don't know all of these. What is an EDC? What is technology at all? What is cloud? And how should I go about that?
I really like what you have done, because very often here, especially in Germany, unfortunately, we sort of depict the small, medium enterprises as sort of problem children. But you sort of turned the key and said, we are not providing them with what they need, and we really don't understand fully what is required. So I really like that change in perspective, and I think it's much needed. You mentioned about security and privacy. Diego, are there solutions to address that also for smaller companies?
Yeah, so when you think about all the work that we're doing, like, we need to make sure that we can address the security, the data issues. We need to make sure that we can provide a platform that can also help customers scale. It's important that we're going to help companies to understand the industry standards, being able to scale, complement all that with regularity compliances, and also make sure that we think about how these companies are going to be served in a very fast way. So we need to make sure that all these customers see the value to coming into Catena-X in a fast way, so they can see the benefit with a very streamlined process, and also with a platform that can give them the data security, that they can feel very comfortable that their data is going to be managed within the security requirements that they need for they to be able to do business in a very secure manner. So all these things are making Catena-X very appealing, not only to the large customers, but also to the SMEs. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we can give them a lot of the availability and the technologies that we have so they can make that first steps in a very quick way.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that, about this streamlined process and the first steps that companies have to take? It's very interesting.
Yeah, what we're learning a lot, and of course this is early days for all of us in terms, well, especially in our end, to continue to work in the Catena-X and the data spaces and the compliances. But the first thing that we wanted to make sure is that we built a really easy platform to be able to exchange data in a way that these SMEs can provide the right number of data components that we need and be able to exchange them in a way where the effort on their side is not that high. We wanted to reduce that entry barrier in a way that they can feel comfortable, in a way that they can know that they don't have to make a very heavy investment. Because it's also about the investment, correct? Right. It's also about how much I need to invest within my own resources, how much money do I need to put into learning this new technology. So if you reduce all those entry-level points to a way that they can do it in an easy way, then you can get the adoption that we want. And that is applying, all the streamlined processes that Accenture brings on board, our technology in terms of AWS, and of course the leadership from Oliver and the Catena-X in terms of how we can bring all these different parties to complement these huge initiatives that is starting with Catena-X.
I'm very interested how the two of you collaborate, but before I ask you about that, I would like to know from Oliver, as a small, medium enterprise, what do I do first? What's the first thing you think the people in the audience should do, or others?
It sounds silly, it is not a technology question. The point is, if we do not move to email, we're no longer ready to have a license to operate. We learned that 25 years ago. And I strongly believe if you do not move to a data space, you will lose that license to operate in the next 5 years as well. This is not a technology question or challenge we have to tackle. It is, as Kevin mentioned, we have to turn around that they feel we do not want to push something on them, but they should feel the need that they gain something from us, from the offer we're making. And as Kevin and Diego, I think I had to swallow, yes, Diego, not Alexander, Diego, that what Diego and Kevin mentioned, the challenge for us is to have the first digestible piece of customer value packaged together. This is my first technology building block, and I derive value within the next 6 to 12 months. That's something what we have to get them. And then they want more. But the first step is, it's like email, I need it. And we are not there yet. That's why we have to do a better job communicating.
So how do you collaborate to increase appetite for that, Kevin and Diego?
Yeah, so what we are doing, and you can also have a look here next to the stage, right? So at the AWS booth and also at the Accenture booth. Onboarding so many companies on a technology where they are not technology experts is something we want to build based on latest technology, which involves for sure, and it's a buzzword everywhere, right? But it's also an opportunity for all of us with generative AI, right? Onboarding companies and partners without having warm hands, because this scale will not work when we do it company by company, bit and bit. That will never ever work. So it's for us the opportunity and also the big wish to stay competitive, or the partners that they stay competitive by joining such a data space without any consulting or warm hands. And that's why we have said, okay, from a user experience perspective, with Accenture Song, we are well positioned. We are also, what I just said, it's a global thing, right? More than 275,000 companies around the globe. So that means we have to help them, not only in Germany, not only in Europe, so in Japan, in whatever, what have you, right? In US. And as a technology partner, right, we are anyway working very closely with Diego and team. And that's why we joined forces. Yeah. Diego, over to you.
Thank you. or exactly what Kevin is saying in terms of how we're going to be able to support them with Gen AI. We've been working, as you guys might heard, very heavily in Gen AI. We recently have released an onboarding agent with Gen AI that helps to bring data inside our application, reducing the entry level to understand how we can bring data from different sources, doing a very streamlined process on getting that information. So again, it's building, to Oliver's point, all these blocks step by step, helping our customers globally and giving them the right level of entry without having to make a lot of investments, simplifying all the technology for them. And at the end of the day, that is going to be, I believe, the engine that is going to continue to fuel more and more companies to be able to be part of Catena-X as we work together jointly. So
I believe if you haven't been convinced, I'm sure you are now. And I think we have a very nice movie that takes that to life, that you can look at. And afterwards, you are all invited to visit the different booths to look into things into more detail. So film up. So, a large round of applause for the speakers. Thanks everyone for coming, and enjoy the rest of the fair. Thank you.